Welcome to my apiary. Today is June 4th, 2019. This video is not about anything in particular. A lot of people have told me that they really enjoy the everyday videos, just the normal hive management videos. That's encouraging. So I thought I would make another one of those today. So I'll just work my hives and talk along the way, show you anything in particular that's interesting. My goal here is today to check for queen rightness in my hives. As you can see, I've got some singles here, I've got some doubles. So this is the time of year when I'm just trying to keep up with the bees as far as space goes. I don't want to go and plunk down too much space, that'll slow them down. But I need to make sure they have enough space so they don't start to swarm and particularly slow the queen's laying down. I need the queen to keep laying. I need her to produce as many babies as possible right now. We're about a good 3 weeks, I guess, before our honey flow. So June is usually rather scarce for nectar. Around here we've got a reasonable little dandelion flow going on right now. And I've just ended my feeding here in the last couple days. So in order to give the queen more space, I'm actually pulling the feed frames out of the bottom box. And if the hive is very populous, I will add a second box of pretty much completely empty drawn comb up there, so that she has unlimited resource in order to lay. There's plenty of feed, even though I take that away from the bottom. There's, like I say, dandelion flow, etc. around for the bees to forage on. I mean, they just love to forage, so I just take that out and then they can forage for more. I don't want the queen slowing down. So I'll be actually taking quite a number of boxes of feed off today. So I'll move you in a bit closer here once I get set up, and hopefully you can get a bit of a better view of the hive and what's going on than sometimes you do in my videos. And you can see my bare knees. I'm working in my shorts today. It's a warm day and I find it far more comfortable to work that way until they start to sting, and then it's far less comfortable. So I have to be kind. Tell you that smoker, you know, it's invaluable, and one of my worst mistakes is not taking my time starting that smoker. If you don't start your smoker properly, you will pay for that all day. It just won't stay. So they look nice and calm. It's not the most populous hive. They probably had far lower population here earlier. You know what this is? This is one of my I call my incumbent queens. When I did my OTS maneuvers, I took the queen out of this hive and put her in a nuke, and then did my notching, raised my queen cells, took those queen cells out, queen cell frames, put those in a mating nuke a little ways away. And then after this hive was kind of a lot more empty, then I moved that nuke back here. So they might be a little bit stunted because of all that nonsense. I say nonsense. It works great. So I see there's white wax on this end, on this frame here, and over here too. So they're building. They want to build comb. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull the second frame, because this one's built out. It's too big. I don't want to scrape everything, all the bees, etc. Heaven forbid my queen is there. So I'm going to try and move this second frame off. I don't want to go for the first one. It's been built out with some honeycomb in during this flow. So what I need to do, I'm going to smoke the bees away so I don't mash too many bees. Nobody likes mashing bees. Happens a lot. So now I can see there's this brace comb between. So I want to scrape the brace comb off the first frame. If I'm going to move the second frame, I want to scrape it off the adjacent frame. Those little nubs is how you kill your queen. So I don't see any along the third frame. So I should be good to go. I've got one of those nice little frame grabber things I should show you sometime. I really like that. I just often don't think to bring it out with me. If you're pulling frames during honey flow, that thing is worth its weight in gold, in my opinion. Okay, so this is just all nectar. They're just filling that up. I'll likely take that frame out. So you can see I've placed an empty box here now. I'll use that to catch the honey frames that I pull from the brood chamber here. Those honey frames are not really doing me that much good. This is just right full. So I'm going to set them down for a few moments rather than shake them now. I need to shake the bees off. And I don't care to work here for very long after I shake the bees. It gets pretty exciting. Bees get all worked up, everybody's in the air. Okay, frame number 3. Now I don't have to take any more out. I've got 2 frames out. Lots of space here. So really I'm going to try and eyeball eggs. And if I can eyeball the queen, that's always good. I see some eggs in there. This is a special frame that I made. It wasn't my idea, but I made it anyway. It's got half a sheet of foundation. And you can sort of see the difference here. The foundation runs from here to here, right in the center. So you've got worker size comb, they've got pollen in there, they've got eggs, and there's my queen right here. So I'm going to pause and I'm going to mark her. I don't know what year this queen is, so I'm going to mark her yellow. Red is this year's color. I'll take my gloves off for this. I've done it with my gloves on. I don't like it. It's hard to do. I use this little gadget. This is a one-handed queen catcher. So your job is to get her in there without killing her. There, she's climbing up on it there. Come on, Queenie. No problem. Okay. So I have a queen and 3 workers. These are queen excluder size slots. So the workers can come out if they try. I'll get my pen. It's going to write nicely. And you just have to wait until she turns. She's not very active. To the right orientation here. Okay, you go away. And she's just between those slots, just perfectly like that. Maybe not. She wants to go sideways, not lengthways. There you go. Nice big yellow dot. I don't know if you can see that or not. There's a stop on this, so I can't crush her, and that foam pad is very soft. I'll leave her in there a moment for that paint to dry. And I will put this frame back in the hive. I still have my newly marked queen in here. I'm sure that paint is quite dry by now. I can leave her in there for a few minutes. I don't like caging a queen too long. They just look like they're pretty frantic trying to get out. So there's a lot of drone brood. I was talking about this frame. The drone brood is on the sides where the hive builds the comb with no foundation. So they stretch that out, and that's where they lay their drones. There's some advantages to that. You can see that there's not a whack of drone brood all over the top of my frames. It makes the hive nice and tidy. Much easier to work, and you don't kill all your drones every time you open your hive. Kill all your drone larvae and pupa. So there's eggs and larvae in that. That's fantastic. Looks nice. A couple of queen cups here. Look in them. As far as I'm concerned, a queen cup, nothing in it is nothing. They just do that. Eggs and larvae there. A little bit of honey. Of course, got eggs and larvae, so I need to leave it in here. I'll try and clean this a little as I go. And same with that side. Clean that off. This is pollen, honey, a cell of some kind. That's not even a cell, it's just a chunk of comb. Would have looked like a swarm cell down there, but so there's larva, pollen, cap brood on that side, honey. So for the new people, this is fairly textbook here. We have sealed worker brood here, the cappings. And then we have open worker larvae, working our way all the way out to eggs. So this is a really good textbook frame. We have around the brood, we have pollen here, and then we have honey around that. So this is really exactly the textbook way the bees like to do it. So that'll help you identify what's in your frames. Warm day, this comb is very soft. So you foundationless people, you've got to be very careful on a day like today. The combs will collapse on you when you tip them like this. So that's also a nice textbook frame. Sealed brood in the middle. A couple of cups here. Sealed brood in the middle. Pollen around the outside of that, and honey at the top. That pollen is wet, I can see. They've mixed some honey with that to ferment it and turn that into bee bread, which is what they make royal jelly out of and feed the babies. Actually, I think they feed the workers after a number of days. They feed them straight bee bread. So that's a really nice looking frame. That's fantastic. You don't want these hives to have too much brood, then they grow too fast and they swarm. Swarming does me no good. I'd rather contain that. I'd rather make artificial swarms to make increase than let the bees end up in the trees or in my neighbor's soffits. That's not a good way to make friends. So here we have emerged brood, which a lot of these cells are empty. So that's brood that's emerged. It's hard to see sometime in the darker comb if there's eggs in there. I'm not really concerned if there's eggs in there. If I didn't see the queen, I might be looking for eggs. And even if I were, I've already seen plenty of eggs. So right now I'm looking for frames which contain no brood and only honey. So this is very young larvae, very young. There's eggs here, all sorts of delicious things. I just love to see that. The colony is going to grow very quickly and very healthy. Makes me happy. I'm getting over to where my queen cage is here. So the next frame I can see is honey. I just have to check if there's any brood in the middle. No, there's no brood. There's a cup there, and there's just honey there. So again, I'll set that aside and shake them off in a moment. Okay, and this one is also just nectar. So I'm going to replace 4 frames. Put that here for now. I know where my queen is, so it doesn't matter where these end up. Shake that one a little bit. Okay, so I want 2 frames outside the green one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I need two frames on each end. I'm actually going to put the new frames in the middle, so the queen can hit the empty frames right away. I'll move this one outside the green frame. I want the green frame in position number 3. And I'm going to put it empty there. So these are just old brood frames. They're still in decent shape. They're not too nasty. I try to cull my brood frames before they get too crazy old. I just feel that helps keep my colony, keep my hive clean, keep the colony healthy. Now, this is what I'm doing. I'd caution you against this, especially if you're a new person. I'm breaking up the brood nest. It's a warm day, and the weather in the next number of days is said to be very warm. So why that concerns me is if I put too much space in that brood nest compared to my population, I may not have the bees to stretch that cluster out and keep the brood warm, because don't forget, we've got brood all the way to here now. We've got brood across 10 frames now. Might be a bit of a risk for me, but that's what I do. No risk, no reward, right? Where's the queen? She's down in there. Oh, she's out. Always wants to go up. Okay, Queenie. Off the glove, down into the comb. There she goes, down the hole. She's coming up again. There she goes. Disappear out of sight. Okay. I'm going to put a second on these. They're doing very well. Very pleased. I have a few bees to shake. I could put my second on first, then shake the bees. That works really well. Bees everywhere here. I need to drive them down a bit so I can put my second box on. Mash as few bees as possible. I don't like mashing bees, but boy, sometimes you can't avoid it. It's better to just get the job done, because the longer you wait, the more bees you're going to mash. Okay, so this is the box I took the empties out of. So I've got 6 frames. I need 4 more for that box. Apologize for my heavy breathing. A little bit of an asthma issue. This mic seems to really pick it up. Okay, so these are brood frames. They're empty. There's a little bit of something or other in some of the cells, but they're 99% empty. And I did not put any excluder here. I run singles, but this is a little bit of a management technique I've learned from my mentors. And that's in this time of year before our main flow, we will add seconds to let the brood nest expand. As you can see, they've got a lot of brood in the bottom. And then in around about the 20th of June, it seems. This year is a bit late, so we'll have to see what happens. But around the 20th of June, then we will take this box off, shake all bees to the bottom. Specifically, we want to make sure the queen is in the bottom. So if you see the queen, make sure she's in the bottom, and that's all you need to do. We'll slide that queen excluder onto the bottom box, set this box back on here, and over the next 21 days, all the brood will have emerged from those frames, and the bees will fill those cells with honey, cap them, and then we can extract those. So that's it for this hive. We'll put the lid on here. And leave them to their work. We'll go on to the next one.